Hi there, hi and welcome to this new grammar video. This time we're going to continue with the simple present, and more specifically we're going to deal with questions in the simple present. When you use do and does for questions, okay? The first thing that you need to remember is that do and does have no exact meaning in questions. When you write them in the question, they don't have a specific meaning, okay? But you need to use them with the right subject. So first thing would be to learn this by heart. He, she, and it take does for questions. If you remember this, the rest would take do for questions, okay? He, she, it use does for questions, and the other pronouns, the other subjects, use do for questions. That would be a good start to learn this by heart. He, she, and it use does questions, and I, we, you, and they use do for questions, okay? That would be the same as finding in a sentence Tom, Karen, or the car. Tom would be the same as he, Karen would be the same as she, and the car would be the same as it. Some students just get confused when they don't actually see in a sentence he and or she or it, but when they see other words they just don't remember that it's exactly the same, okay? And whenever you find any of these, for example, you and I, it's another person and me, okay? So that would be the same as we. And the others refers to other people, more than one person. So that would be they, okay? We use do or does to make questions, and when we do so, there is no change with the verb. If you remember in the first video about the simple present, in affirmative sentences, when the subject is he, she, or it, the verb changes because we add an S. But here with questions, we don't add an S to the verb, okay? For example, this sentence, I bet you remember it from the first video, right? Ben lifts weights every day. Do you remember Ben? Okay. What happens if we change this into a question? We use does because Ben is he, okay? Does Ben lift weights every day? As you can see, the affirmative verb takes an S, but no S in the question, okay? Another example, Maggie works late on Mondays and Thursdays. I bet you remember Maggie, don't you? Okay, our question would look something like, does Maggie work late on Mondays and Thursdays? Well, as you can see, the affirmative sentence, the affirmative question. The affirmative has an S and the question doesn't have an S, okay? Another example, Tim and Sally sometimes play cards. This is the affirmative sentence. It has no S because it's Tim and Sally, it's more than one person. So our question would be, do Tim and Sally sometimes play cards? So we use do for the question and no S for the verb. So remember, as I told you before, he, she, and it take does for questions. Does Mark live in Madrid? Does she like tea? Does it rain often in Italy? These are 3 examples with does. And the rest of pronouns use do for questions. Do you live in Madrid? Do the Simpsons like tea? And do they carry an umbrella? The Simpsons refers to a group of people, so it would be they, okay? Remember to learn by heart which pronouns use do and which ones use does. So summing up, to make questions in the simple present, first you use do, then the subject, then you write the verb, then any other words that you need for the sentence, and then a question mark because it's a question, right? And we use do when the subject is either of these, okay? For example, do you like English grammar? And same with does. We use does together with the subject. Next, we write in the verb, then any other word we need to complete the sentence, and then the question mark. He, she, and it are the subjects that go with does. For example, does your sister like English grammar? I know that your sister is the same as she, so I use does. And let's practice a little bit, okay? You have a sentence here with 2 spaces. Where are you gonna write the verb? First or second blank? Second, right? And in the first one, in the first space, you will add do or does. Which one is it gonna be? Does, right? Because Mary is she. So where does Mary live? That would be the same as saying, where does she live? Okay? Well, as usual, I'm going to ask you to pause this video and copy these questions, and then just fill in the spaces with either do or does and the verb. Okay? And don't cheat, because I'm just going to give you the answer right away, okay? Well, I hope you haven't cheated, and then you're back now to see if you filled in the spaces correctly, okay? Do the children walk to school? The children is plural, so we use do. What does Mr. Wong teach? Mr. Wong is a person, singular, a he, okay? So we use does. Do Tim and Bob have good manners? Tim and Bob are 2 people, it's plural, so we use do. What time does Helen usually get up? Do the students serve the net every day? How do Peter and Paul come here? What do you have for dinner, Mary? Does Sally enjoy listening to music? Okay? So you may have noticed that questions such as number 4, number 2, number 6 don't start with do or does right away, but they start with other interrogatives, okay? What really matters here is that the core of the question is always do or does, then the subject, and next the verb, okay? Well, I hope this video has been enough for you to understand how do we do with questions, how do we create questions in the simple present. And another video will follow pretty much like this one, showing you how to do with negatives, how to create negatives, how to make negatives in the simple present, okay? So I guess you'll hear more of me soon, okay? Bye!
Remember, you can try the exercises on the website and then correct yourself, because there is the answer key with audio, with me talking to you, explaining why the answers are those.